A former Manitoban and a former reporter with CTV News here in Winnipeg now lives in Denver, Colorado. Karen Rocznik is both a Canadian and American citizen, and while she's living in the U.S., she's still very much connected to her Canadian roots. Joining us now from Colorado, Denver, is Canadian and American citizen Karen Rocznik. Good morning, Karen.
Hi, good morning, Rochelle.
Thanks for joining us. You look amazing. It's good to see you.
I know. Well, it's great to be back.
Well, thank you. Now, you've been living in Denver since 2018, is that right?
Yeah, just at the end of 2017, but we'll call it 2018. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so you still very much feel connected to home, though. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I always come home like every summer. I kind of avoid the winters, no offense. But my family still lives in Winnipeg, and I've got a brother, niece, nephews, a sister-in-law, my parents, cousins. So I'm always very connected to what's happening in Winnipeg. I read the Winnipeg Free Press. I try and catch CTV Morning Live when I can through the snippets on social media. But no, Winnipeg's always been my home.
Yeah, and of course you worked for the CTV Morning Live show as well and covered me when I went on a mat leave. Since Donald Trump was elected president a second time, he's been calling Canada the 51st state. How have you been feeling about that?
Not great. I think that kind of rhetoric is just, it's ridiculous. It doesn't serve anything other than, divide what, Americans used to be, our friendly neighbors to the south, but Canadians are really proud, and Canadians always took a stance to try and, kind of separate themselves from Americans because we are different. There are differences. I get grilled on my accent all the time when I say out and about. So, there are things that make us very Canadian. So saying that we're going to be annexed or the 51st state or calling then Prime Minister Trudeau governor is just, it doesn't serve any purpose other than to divide two nations that used to be, friends.
Absolutely. Now, Trump also has put tariffs on many Canadian goods, and this trade war and the threats of annexation have really created a wave of Canadian patriotism here. Do you feel that? Do the Americans know what's happening here in Canada?
Oh, yeah, and they think it's ridiculous. I mean, my partner is American, his family's visiting, they're from California. They think it's just absolutely stupid what's happening. And it just serves absolutely like no purpose whatsoever. But, when all this rhetoric started happening, and of course the snap election was called, I was getting notices from, Elections Canada that the elections was happening. I was making sure that, I was going to get a ballot because we can vote from abroad now. Before I could even contact Elections Canada, my vote came in my ballot came in the mail, and I have cast my vote for the upcoming election.
And why was it important for you to cast your ballot, to vote in this election?
Well, I think this election, more than any other election that I can remember, a foreign policy it's like the #1 issue. And so, the tariffs, the trade war, calling Canada the 51st state, we haven't really seen that. It's been domestic issues. It's been the economy back home, housing, education, healthcare. But for the first time, and I'm in America, and I am an American, dual citizen, Canadian, but it was really important for me to have my voice heard so that I can elect a leader that I believe is going to stand up for Canada, that is going to stand up to Donald Trump, and, really take a stand and say, no, we are a sovereign nation, and we're going to remain that.
Well, Karen, it was good to see you, and thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us, and can't wait to see you this summer.
All right, thanks.